Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Stofferin.
Present.
Commissioner Barnes.
Present.
Commissioner Newland.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner Marshall.
Here, sir.
And Commissioner Smock is coaching football tonight, so he is absent. We also have our town planner, Mr. Lick.
Present.
And we also have our mayor, Mr. Swanson. Perfect. Okay, everybody turning their claim forms tonight? Good. Okay, good deal. Okay, B, approval of the agenda tonight. I would like to make two additions. Under new business, B will be second driveway. We do have the packet with us. And then C, I would like to address Commissioner Marshall's status. And those are the two additions I would like to make. Anyone else have anything they would like to add or change? If not, I'll entertain a motion with those two additions.
I move that we approve the minutes of the agenda.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Commissioner Newland? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, meeting minutes approved with those two additions. On to C, approval of the meeting minutes from our planning commission meeting dated July 23rd, 2025. Everybody had a chance to look at them? Anyone see anything in there? Yes, Commissioner Miller?
Well, I just have a question and then one correction on the last page. On paragraph 5 on page 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where it talks about the fencing inside the property line that doesn't require setbacks. And it says if the resident built a fence within the building setbacks, it would not need to be reviewed. Just for my clarification, that's if it's under 7 feet?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other, on page 4, just the attendees, the name, is that the same gentleman that was here presenting? There's a difference in the spelling of his name?
So
One's
that's what he wrote down on the sign sheet.
But then in the minutes, it says McMahon. On page 2, second paragraph.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know which was correct.
Try to get some.
Oh, Leonard McMahon instead of Leonard Mick as in Mick Jagger.
Right,
And C
right.
as in McDonald's, okay.
I can fix that.
Okay.
I like that she catches those things.
I know, I'm over here like, wait, what?
I always just look at, we all just kind of look at her and then we,
Looking for those things.
Yeah.
And thank you for,
Good job.
anyone else notice anything? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to approve with the change on the last page of attendees being L. McMahon.
I'll make a motion to approve with the changes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Newland. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, approve with that change, with that correction. Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Okay, on to the public hearing portion of the meeting. We have one thing we are discussing tonight. It's the Meadows of Baldwin, PID number 01-00018-4102. A preliminary plat for 17 single-family lots. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the application was submitted by Meadows of Baldwin LLC. Mr. John Dahl is here tonight as the developer. This is a 58-acre property located at the southwest corner of 136th Street and 305th Avenue. You can see on the screen to the north and south are similarly platted rural residential lots. To the west is a 20-acre parcel. East across 136th Street are larger properties, also developed with single-family homes. So the property is zoned R1, rural residential. general rural, which allows for, oh, it's upside down, that's why I can't see it. I'm like, where'd it go? Knew there was a,
I don't know what you were pointing at.
yeah. Oh, I was pointing,
I was looking for.
there
my
we
map.
go. Zoned R1 district. So single-family dwellings are permitted use within that zoning district. The subdivision is subject to standards of the subdivision ordinance for the plat. Oh, that one's on the right side. So 136th Street and 305th Avenue are guided by the transportation plan as collector streets. These are roadways that are intended to carry more traffic than just providing access to individual properties. The primary concern there is making sure that their access to the roadway isn't impeded so that traffic can move freely without disruption. So that's why there's emphasis placed on local streets within, internal to the plat for access to the individual lots where possible. This one is upside down as well. This is the plat with north facing up, 136th Street on the east side, 305th Avenue on the north. You have 138th Street terminating at the south line of the property from the existing plat, Whitetail. The majority of the lots are accessed internal to the development from that extension of 138th Street, which it comes up to a line with 137th to the north. The developer will construct a turn lane for eastbound 305th Avenue into the development, again, so that there's no disruption of traffic movement on 305th. There are a number of lots that access either to 136th and 305th Avenue based on the configuration of the plat. Also, if you look in the area, especially on 305th Avenue, there are a number of lots that also access that roadway. This isn't going to cause significant impacts in the mind of the city engineer, so staff is comfortable with this layout. The one discussion we did have with the developer was whether there should be a street extended from 138th Street to the west. This is a 20-acre parcel that's under common ownership with this. Based on the location of the street to the north, in order to develop this property, you basically have to extend that same street down to intersect. So if you go back to the aerial, you can see, oh, this one's upside down. See how development of both these properties together would have to mirror your path to the north if that was to happen. Further to the west, the properties are more broken up into still larger size properties of about 5 acres, but not necessarily likely to have street extended further through. So it's up to the planning commission to recommend and comment whether, assuming that this property remains as a 20-acre rural parcel, is adequate looking into the future. Flip back to the plat and it's going to be upside down. All right. So all of the lots within the development are required to be a minimum of 2.5 acres in area with 40,000 square feet of buildable space. The preliminary plat shows that they all comply with that. They all have 200 feet of frontage to the improved public streets, comply with those requirements as well. The setbacks are shown on the preliminary plat, and each lot has the ability to accommodate a single-family dwelling in compliance with setbacks. Plat also shows location for primary and secondary septic drain field sites to accommodate utilities for the property. Obviously, the design of those septic systems would be reviewed by the building official when the application for building permit is made. Park dedication requirements are triggered by subdivision of the property. That would be subject to the park committee's recommendation. They will most likely recommend that there be cash fee in lieu of land paid for each lot that the city then places in a dedicated fund used to make park improvements throughout the city. The one comment that was made is the park committee and the planning commission have discussed the need for trails along collector streets. The right-of-way that exists for 305th Avenue and 136th Street is adequate for accommodating a trail alongside of the existing roadway, so no additional modification to the plat is needed. Staff wouldn't recommend constructing trails with the plat because they wouldn't go anywhere at this point. That is likely going to need to be a larger effort that's undertaken as these streets are constructed or reconstructed in the future. The developer also provided a grading plan for the site to handle stormwater management. The basic requirement is that stormwater that's created from the impervious surfaces within the plat are contained within stormwater basins and discharged from the property at or less than the rate they do today. And the city engineer has verified that as part of their review, which is included in your packet as well. So city staff's review of the application is that the plat does comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance, consistent with the policies of the comprehensive plan. So we are recommending approval subject to the 11 conditions outlined in our report to the planning commission.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, whoa, I lost that, but I don't need it. This time, we'd like to call a representative with Meadows of Baldwin. Approach the podium, give your name and address, please, to Kayla.
Joss Johndal, 29820 108th Street, Northwest, Princeton.
Anything you would like to add or comment regarding what Mr. Lick stated?
Nope, I think you did a good job. I guess really the only thing I would say that possible through street, I think that would just make it a little unfeasible, to be honest with everybody. I think if that is something that, is wanted, just the road expense, I wouldn't gain any lots. It would just be a major impact as far as cost for excavation and roads. So that would probably halt the project, to be honest with you guys. My opinion on the 20 acres next to it, I mean, there's people that do like 20 acres. And if, the current owner does decide that, future wants to develop it, I mean, they could run that through and just have a cul-de-sac put on the end of that or anything like that, if that is something that, future happens. I would say, hard to say if that's going to be developed or not. I think it would be a large expensive road and, things to maybe gain 3-4 lots. I don't think it'd be realistic. So kind of my only input. Otherwise, I think everything else sounded good.
So are we talking that would be, if that went east and west, it would be between 3 and 4, or would it be at the north side of 4?
Yeah, it'd be in between those 3 and 4 lots.
Okay.
I mean, I would lose a lot because I wouldn't meet the road frontage. So I would lose that, and then I would also have the expense of a road.
And then as far, I guess, questions later as well, but as far as 7 and 8 on both sides, are 7 and 8 both coming onto the road that you're creating, or are 7 and 8 going to come out on 305th?
No, we would have those come off the new road that we're creating. So I think my understanding is we were going to have shared driveways on 5 and 6 up in the upper corner, and then same with down on 1 and 2 in the bottom right. And then lot 9 was going to come off of 305th.
Okay.
Just a little less impact. And then that would be, to the left as much as possible,
Okay.
away from the intersection.
Okay. And then the lot that's below 9, that just says exception, that's just not buildable, or is that?
That's there's already a home there.
Oh, there's already a home.
Yep, that's just already the homestead.
Oh, that's right.
That's not part of this property.
So that's right.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, if you take a seat, I'll open it to the public to see if there's any comments or questions. At this time, if anyone has any comments or questions, feel free to approach the podium with those. If you do, please address the commission with your comments and or questions. If you'd first give your name and address to Kayla, please.
Hi, Susan Vorderbruggen, 30339 136th Street. My concern is the speed on 136th Street. Has there been a study done on that road lately? The concern that I'm bringing is possibly putting a 4-way stop. You said that 305th will add traffic. And we already have people dying at the end of our driveway because of the speed.
Okay.
So I think I'd like to recommend a study be done on that road, and that I'm suggesting that a 4-way stop be put in at 305th at 136th Street.
Okay. Taken, is this the appropriate time, or should she come to a city council meeting?
Mr. Chair, because the speed issue is not specific to the development, that should be kind of a separate issue the city council would address. And we can take the comment regarding the four-way stop as part of the project, because this does add traffic to 305th, and have the city engineer address that.
Okay. That satisfy you then? We'll have to look at.
Thank you.
Okay, yep, thank you very much, Susan. Yes. Your name and,
Jones, 30305, 136th Street.
okay,
Just put that down. To mirror what she's saying, I refer to that road as the Princeton 500, NASCAR should run that, with the speeds and stuff, so and just, that would add, subdivision obviously would add more traffic.
yes.
And the trails you mentioned, I don't understand the trails. If you could elaborate on that, please.
Mr. Chair, so the city has discussed the idea of constructing trails adjacent to major roadways for recreational purposes. And they would look at doing that as part of new developments, but it's also important that there be connectivity. So just doing trails along this section of the development isn't going to get anybody anywhere. So it's part of a larger discussion the city needs to have as part of its street improvement plans.
Okay.
For walking, biking, so that you're not on a narrow road, we're trying to create space for that, to keep people away from danger.
Okay.
So it's just something that they look at regularly, so
Excellent. Okay.
that comment was related to.
Okay. Thank you.
Andrew Swans, 1339 308th, Baldwin. My back property line butts up to number 1, I think it is, or number 7 on the bottom. I was wondering, are we eligible to buy any of that land or not?
So you're the southwest corner, but you're the south border right there, correct?
Yeah, right on the edge, right there.
Okay,
Because my back property line's like right there.
Okay.
And I know that whole farmland has barbed wire fence running all the way through it, so.
okay.
Mr. Chair, that's an issue between the gentleman and the property owner.
Okay, that's why I didn't know who I need to talk to or,
Yeah, that would
okay.
be something once this gets officially subdivided.
Yep,
And that would, well, I'd contact the developer beforehand.
that works, I just didn't know if I need to get a number.
Yeah, speak with Mr. John Dahl separately.
Oh, perfect, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Any other questions or concerns? Any other questions or concerns?
Michelle Jones, 30305, 136. I'm the wife of Charlie. I do have concerns about, first of all, there is a trail out there now that we use for recreation. Is that going away? Is that staying? Is that, what's going to happen to that?
Sure about the trail.
Where's that at?
It's like right in front of we have the 20-acre lot across from the subdivision here on the right.
We're to the east of the subdivision.
Yeah, so that whole piece of land, we can just drive out our driveway and drive, recreational vehicles on it. Just wondering what's going to happen to that, if that's still going to stay, since it's going to be a subdivision, or what.
So the trail is where?
Right across the street where the subdivision's going to be put in. Yeah, right along that area, right there, right where you had the arrow.
Are you on the east side of 136th you're talking?
So it appears that the trail is in the right of way. so it wouldn't be affected by
It wouldn't be affected? Okay, and I'd like to just bring up what Susie said, my husband reiterated, is 136 is very, very busy. I'll barely let our kids cross the road to go into the subdivision that's nearby to ride bikes. And I'd like to know if you are going to do a study, is this going to be prior to the approval of this subdivision? Or is it an afterthought?
No, it'll be part of this, the city engineers, they'll look at it, but this is something to, for sure, for all of you that are concerned to go to the city council meeting, as well as to address this.
Will we be getting a letter in the mail or anything like that as to when this is gonna happen? Or, I mean, as far as the council meeting, I mean, I have no idea what you guys do over here, to be honest, unless we just got a letter in the mail and said, show up this time for this subdivision. We were quite shocked about the subdivision, to be honest with you, so.
Mr. Chair, so the city adopts a comprehensive plan that guides land uses that can occur, then establishes a zoning ordinance that says what the minimum lot sizes need to be. It's up to any property owner, they have the right to come in and propose subdivision of their property, which Mr. John Dahl's company has done. State law requires the city to hold the public hearing that you received the notice for. Planning Commission holds the public hearing, takes comments, and then provides a recommendation to the city council, which will make the final decision. The city council meeting is likely to be on September 8th to consider this application. The speed limit issue is a statutory requirement. State law basically says the speed limit on that roadway is 55 miles an hour unless MnDOT does a study that proves that 85% of the traffic is traveling at a lower rate. So that's the study that needs to be done.
I understand that, so
That will be separate from this action.
okay, I'm just saying, is that going to be prior to this? I mean, has this already been approved? This is it hasn't been approved yet to
No,
subdivision.
this is the preliminary hearing.
Okay, preliminary hearing. So I would imagine that you would have to do a speed study or a road study prior to the approval of this?
Mr. Chair, no.
No. So, okay.
Speeding is a traffic enforcement issue, it's not a capacity issue. The subdivision is adding vehicles to the roadway, it's not causing the speeding issue.
Okay, it's not just the speeding. There's a lot of traffic on that road already. I would think if you're gonna add 17 more houses in there with all the cars that come with it, that would be a concern.
Mr. Chair, the city engineer in our office have reviewed that and said the traffic volumes on 305th Avenue and 136th Street aren't high enough that this is going to cause congestion issues by adding the subdivision.
Well, I guess how many of you actually live on 136? Because we actually live on 136. So my next question is, what is the proposed, if this does get approved, the proposed timing on digging, starting, and it going, actually getting started and going? Because that comes with it a lot of noise.
Mr. Chair, so the developer would be clear to start construction this fall. They would have the approval, they'd execute the development contract and begin grading and site work.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Any other, oh,
Yeah, Ken Larson, I really don't have an address for you. Yeah, we just bought that little parcel that's where the current home is, in the center there. I still don't understand how the roads, how the people are gonna get to their home from, there doesn't seem to be enough roads to me, I didn't understand that.
So, Mr. Chair, the property abuts 305th Avenue and 136th Street. From the south of the property, 138th Street comes up to this point. So the developer is extending that street through up to 305th Avenue.
So it's gonna curve around?
yeah, right up.
Kind of does an S curve through the development.
Let me
I'll
see.
switch back to the plat here.
I was just wondering how close that would come to,
So it's at the existing 137th intersection there.
okay. Okay.
These two lots, this lot, and these two lots will access to 305th or 136th.
Okay,
All the internal lots are all accessing that new road, that S.
all right, yeah, now I see it better. All right, thank you.
Ken.
The road would be about 530 feet from your property line.
Across?
So he's got that open spot with the exception. So then the question is, go back down there. He's asking how far will it be from his property?
533 feet.
500, so that would be the answer to the question.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the public? Any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion at this time to close the public portion of the hearing. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Barnes. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the public portion of the meeting has been closed. Mr. John Dahl, does anyone have any questions for him? Any discussion? Commissioner Miller?
I just wanted to check, you said between 5 and 6, that's going to be shared driveway?
Yeah, I mean, we're open to it. I don't remember where we 100% left off on that.
Mr. Chair? So we did discuss that, and the city engineer, when initially the plat had 5, 6, 7, 8 accessing to 305th, and so we were concerned that that was too many driveways, so we did discuss sharing the access between the 4 lots to cut it to 2. Then with the street going through, those 2 lots being turned to access 138th Street, staff was comfortable with the 2 driveways directly to 305th, so that we don't have that shared arrangement, which can be problematic.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I asked the commissioners your opinion on the access to that 20 acres on the west side. We discussed it in the beginning, whether or not to have an easement that basically would be between 3 and 4 going west, or if you would want it on the west side of this development coming down.
Mr. Chair, I think I would clarify too that if the planning commission wanted to see the connection, we would treat this like we did with Northland Ponds, where the street wasn't required to be constructed, just the right-of-way dedicated, so that if the property to the west develops in the future, they would be responsible for construction of that.
Okay.
But Mr. John Dahl is correct that in order to put that right-of-way in, they would lose one of those 4 lots, block 1.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it also affects their stormwater that's on the backs of those lots, which could be a bigger piece to overcome. I was wondering, Mr. Licht, is it possible to require them to provide a ghost plat for those 20 acres to see what it would look like if access simply comes from that aligned northeast corner? Does that allow us to still allow that 20 acre parcel to develop into something that meets our current standards?
Sure. So the concern with allowing the 20-acre property to subdivide into lots similar to this with only access to 305th is then you're creating a cul-de-sac and you're losing the connectivity between subdivided neighborhoods. So the city's goal is to avoid cul-de-sacs for emergency vehicle access, circulation, street maintenance purposes, et cetera. You'd lose that ability and only be able to subdivide that 20 acres with a cul-de-sac, if that was the case. I could see where the property could still be allowed to subdivide basically in half to 10-acre pieces with access directly to 305th without an issue.
But nothing smaller.
Right.
I have one other question. Lot 5, Block 3 doesn't show septic systems. Is there a reason?
No.
I know there's stormwater on that one as well as low points, and so I was just curious if it had something else going on.
Yeah, I think he just missed that because there's plenty of space and it's all high ground, so.
Okay.
I'm guessing it was just missed in that.
Had other reasons either. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, there should be no issues with it, so we can get that added to it.
Okay.
I think I read that somewhere already too.
Josh, also on the, if the motion is recommended for approval to the city council, forwarded to them, there are those 11 conditions. You are aware of those as well?
Yep, I don't see no no issue with them.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Have any concerns? Otherwise, are you comfortable with the plat the way it is? And as far as that 20 acres behind, we would just leave that? Or they would have, 20 acres would have the responsibility of adding a road? Leave this as is?
I like the idea of requiring the connectivity because I'm in full support of that. I do see where the geometry of the subdivision causes that, so I'm not sure which way to.
My opinion on it, I think if that's adding a lot of roads to potentially only have 2 to 3 more lots. You know, as far as maintenance for you guys and tax purposes and.
Commissioner Miller, how do you feel?
I'd be comfortable with the conditions listed.
Good. Else have any questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Chair. Yes. I have some, the thought is that on that 20 acre, at that point, if there's no connecting road, it's going to limit what the capability of that other person to develop their full 20 acres. I mean, if we do the road and have it go through, there is a chance for more than 2 or 3 lots on that 20 acres. So I think I'd be more in favor of adding the road that would terminate to go into that 20 acres to allow that other person a full ability to develop that lot.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
I know I said it at the start, and I may have just talked too fast. The subject site and the 20 acres to the west are under common ownership.
Oh, they're under common ownership? Oh, okay, then at that point, he's making a decision.
Correct.
Okay, I'll rescind my concern.
Good. So I'll entertain a motion at this time to approve recommendation to City Council with the 11 conditions that are attached.
I'll motion.
Okay,
Approve
okay,
with the 11 conditions.
11 conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second? Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Okay, recommend approval for the September 8th meeting for City Council. Mr. John Dahl, 7 o'clock here. So, okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good, yes, thank you very much. Okay, on to new business. Jeremy Snow, PID number 01-00555-0010, a sketch plan review of Outlot A on Infinite Acres. Mr. Snow, are you here or a representative? Please approach the podium and give your name and address to Kayla.
I'm Juliana Snow, 9987 106 Place North Maple Grove, Minnesota. 106 Place North. So, I'm Juliana Snow.
Okay,
My husband is Jordan Snow. Jordan's brother, Jeremy Snow, owns the property. Originally, this property and the south lot were owned by Dan and Jackie Thorsbakken, which are my husband's godparents. And my husband has told me countless stories about him playing in these woods as he was growing up, and he's always wanted to build a house and live there. When Dan and Jackie sold this property to Jeremy and Casey, they started their family there, making this lot even more special to his family. Jordan Snow, my husband, even owned and lived in this neighborhood after college. He owned number 3, so looking on over number 3. So just 2 houses down from his current lot.
sure.
And so 13889 302nd. And he's always wanted to build here. And in 2008, Jeremy agreed to save this lot for Jordan to eventually build on and raise his family there. If you look at Google Maps, you can already see that the road comes off the cul-de-sac, which I had heard you talking about earlier. It's a temporary cul-de-sac with an easement going on to this property that they own. And they're projecting to put a street through it, then taking the 6-acre lot, making it into 2 3-acre lots. So for future development of all this land, but no one's developing this land yet. And this is the 6-acre lot that my husband and I want to build our house on and raise our 2 children on. So what I'm asking is that you allow us to just keep this driveway and build our house. Right now, we're talking more firmly about it because our daughter is 4 and she's going to start school. And this is the best place to raise a family, is what my husband says. So when we were there this summer looking at the land, because my husband brings me there all the time, let me bring you to the woods. It's amazing. It's amazing. Come to the woods. So we're in the woods. And since he lived just 2 houses down, he knows all the neighbors and he's friends with all the neighbors and his whole family lives up there. And so he's talking to these 2 neighbors and he was saying, oh, we're going to build this year. And they're like, Jordan, we've been waiting forever for you to build. When are you going to be our neighbor again? And so I just feel like over the years, we've had a lot of people come up to us and say, hey, if you ever split that lot, we'd love to be your neighbor. But it has been my husband's lifelong dream to live in his godparents' woods and build a house there, that I feel like if we have to put a road in, that there's no future building over here yet, a road in splitting our 6 acres, just so that way we could build our house on this tiny portion and wait for someone to build something somewhere else? Google Maps.
Just real quick question. Earlier you said we want to keep the current driveway.
It's a current easement that comes into the lot. And it was my understanding that before Baldwin became a township, that they granted him to build on there, but we just weren't ready yet. And then
Mr. Chair, so the right-of-way for 302nd Avenue does extend to the property line.
Okay.
So it's a public right-of-way. There's the temporary cul-de-sac, so they can access the outlot via the right-of-way.
Okay. So the lots behind them on the west side, that area there, how is there access to those? Are those is that, you said that it says not platted. How many acres is that?
So 2.5, well, that's the standard. So this piece is 5.66, so these are 5-acre parcels. This one appears undeveloped. This one has a house. I don't know how it's accessed.
So that lot then between their potential new place and that gentleman's place, in the middle there where the hand is, that's landlocked.
Correct.
Unless we provide access, which we need to, correct?
who
I can
owns that lot?
give a summary. So, Mr. Chair, the issue that, reason this is brought forward as a sketch plan and not a subdivision or variance application at this point is obviously to do that. They have to go through the platting process to change the outlot into a platted lot. When Infinite Acres was platted, the buildable lots were established with access and frontage to an improved street. We've seen other developments where Sherburne County didn't require the street to be extended to the edge of the plat line, which would have put it right up against the outlot for whatever reason. But each of the lots within Infinite Acres that have homes complies with the requirements of the subdivision ordinance and zoning ordinance. So in order to change an outlot, which is an unbuildable parcel, either because it doesn't comply with zoning requirements or it's set aside for some public purpose such as wetlands or stormwater basin, it needs to be platted. The subdivision ordinance says in order to plat a lot, it needs to comply with the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. Same way as we looked at the prior application. Each of those 17 lots had to have 2.5 acres of minimum area and 200 feet of frontage to a public street. The same requirement applies to a request such as this, that in order to put a house onto the proposed lot, there has to be the minimum frontage and the minimum area. This doesn't have it. In order to proceed with the request that the property owner would like to, they would need variances from the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance in order to do this. The criteria for issuance of a variance is that there's an undue hardship caused by the natural conditions of the property that prevent compliance. Economic considerations such as the cost of extending a street is not justification in and of itself for variance. So staff's opinion is that we wouldn't be able to recommend approval of a variance to allow the platting of this lot without the required frontage to a public street. It also, if done in a way as presented where it's building the home on the one property, does also then preclude future extension of 302nd further to the west, should those properties choose to develop. The same way that the street was brought to this outlot in order to potentially allow it to develop. So the question to the Planning Commission informally, because any of your discussion tonight doesn't bind you to a future discussion or decision on an application, is whether you would support the idea of a variance to allow for construction of the one house on the property, either with easement for that future street, outlot dedicated for that future street, or to require full compliance with the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance in order to build on the lot.
So how does everybody, with what he just said, how does everybody feel? I mean, technically, like he said, a variance is economic hardship.
Public hearing?
Oh, no, this isn't a public hearing at all. This is just simply an open discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I would like some clarification of, with what we're seeing here, it does list the future street. So if they were to do it, they would, because they'd have to take it from an outlot to a buildable lot.
Correct.
We could require them to do the 2 lots because they're more than 2.5 acres apiece? Or are we limited because it's a smaller development? Can we still do the 2.5 acres and require the platting of the right-of-way with this replat to create buildable lots? Is that a possibility?
So the short answer would be, yes, you can require that because that's what the subdivision ordinance requires. So they would have to plat the right-of-way, build the street, and show each lot 2.5 acres with 40,000 square feet
Okay.
buildable area.
Whereas
The question then would be, who would be required to build? Can they be then on the hook to build the road if the property behind them develops? Or who then builds the road later?
So
Do we require it now?
the city and prior township required that houses be constructed on lots with direct access to public streets,
Meaning the road has to be built? Okay.
meaning the street has to be built. There was the request over on the Ferris property where they wanted to use a shared private road to be able to access multiple homes off of that roadway, and it was an existing private road that already accessed several homes. The Planning Commission and Town Board at the time said, no, this needs to have direct access to a public street. And the issue that you have is you have individual circumstances, but the requirement and intent of zoning and subdivision ordinances that they're applied consistently. So if Planning Commission is in favor of this request, then couldn't another developer come in and make a similar request for the same issue? So every plat that's come in, if you're gonna build a house on a lot, the lot has direct access to a public street and minimum frontage.
Any comments or question or anything? Commissioner Marshall, what are you thinking?
I'm just trying to think if there's any other way out of this situation, and I'm
Juliana,
looking
you
at
can
the-
approach since it's your subject council.
I guess my next question would be, so let's say my husband and I don't move here and we don't build on his dream lot of his godparents. And we just hold that lot there, hold it there forever. Then what happens with these lots? They'll have to do whatever they're gonna do whenever they do develop it. So I feel like, don't let our future of just this lot be held back by what they might be doing there in the future.
Mr. Chair.
Right, it's-
So the issue is that they're bringing forward the idea of developing this property. In order to develop the property, it has to comply with the city's regulations. If they don't do anything with the property, then either the properties to the west can't do anything, or they have to find another way to get there. This is again is another situation in Sherburne County, and we can see this throughout Baldwin, where you have these 5-acre parcels that were somehow platted off. They're not platted, but subdivided from larger tracts that don't have access or frontage. But now that either the Sherburne County ordinance is in effect under township, or now city ordinances, would require access to develop any of these properties in that area. This outlot, which was platted as part of the subdivision, but established as an outlot because it doesn't have street frontage, is the first kind of domino that needs to fall for the area.
Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. Is these two pieces of thing, the block 1 and the lot A, are they one piece of property?
Right now they are, yes,
Not subdivided, they're one piece of property?
correct.
And we
So her
want
request
house
is-
just in the middle.
So what we're telling this lady is that if you buy that piece of property, we're gonna cut it in half.
They already,
Huh?
they already own
Own
it.
it.
Okay, so what they want to do though is they want to build on that property. But if they build on that property and we give them a variance, that land that is now to the west of them, we are going against basically our comprehensive plan. That land is now landlocked. For that owner, for them to build, they would have to find another way in there. When 302nd was built with that cul-de-sac,
With all due
the
respect,
intent
Mr.
was.
Chair, that's not her problem.
Mr. Chair,
Asking, huh?
Mr. Chair, yes, it is, because this isn't a buildable lot. You can't get a building permit to put a home on this property right now.
Why not?
It's an outlot. When they did the subdivision to the east, they platted this as an outlot, which means it's not a buildable parcel, because it doesn't comply with the zoning ordinance.
Just for the sake of argument, why doesn't it comply? It's a piece of ground.
It doesn't have frontage to a public street.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Not at this time.
That 300,
It doesn't have 200 feet of frontage to a public street.
it ends right here, Commissioner Marshall. This is a cul-de-sac.
Yep.
So she said they wanted just to use the existing. This road, this land has to have the frontage that Mr. Licht is talking about. So in order to have that, this road would have to be continued to make this
There's
a
a
buildable-
cul-de-sac, so there's a cul-de-sac that doesn't show on this map here.
I have a zoomed up picture.
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay?
So, but then this here lot would be landlocked, and that's why we can't do it. So it is the responsibility of that outlot for that. You understand? Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, when they did Infinite Acres, if they would have brought the cul-de-sac into this point and stopped it there, and then platted it as a lot, then all they'd need is a building permit. But for whatever reason, the street was stopped short. It was platted as an outlot, which means you can't get a building permit for it unless it's platted as a lot. To plat it as a lot, it needs to meet the requirements of the subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
When you purchased this lot, did you know about the ordinance? There's anything disclosed to you?
No, because, so looking on the map here, so Dan and Jackie owned all of this. So they called this. So when Jeremy and Casey bought it from Dan and Jackie Thorsbachen, wife raised their family here. And all this, because he built just right down. Divided it. That he was just 08, when my husband came back from Iraq, he purchased this house on 3, and he loved it so much, and with the housing prices and everything like that, Jeremy and Jordan, the brothers, he's like, I know you want this lot. I will save it for you. I won't do anything with it. I'll save it for you. So since 08, my husband has been saying, he wants to build on this lot. So when we got engaged, my husband said, will you marry me, right? And I said, I'll marry you on one condition, that I never move to Princeton, and I never live on your lot. And he said, well, that's my dream, I want to live there. And I worked in White Bear Lake at the time, so there was no way I was going to drive from White Bear Lake to Princeton for work, and I wasn't ready to give up my job and my career. So he had the whole weekend to think about it. He goes, I went up north with my dad. I thought about it. And I came back and I said, okay, I will never live on that lot, and I'll marry you. And so his plans changed 3 years later, so we got married, and he comes home, and we're married now, and he goes, I want a divorce. I said, why? And he goes, because I had some soul searching, and what do I want to do in my life? Where is my life going? Where do I see myself? And he said, I want to build on that lot, and I know that it was your stipulation when we got married that you didn't want to live there. So he said, I would like to divorce you so that way I can build on that lot. And I said, okay. And he goes, I know we've been trying for a baby, so once we know we're not pregnant, I'll file for divorce. And little did he know I was pregnant. Oh, this lot is really important to us. And yes, I feel like it will be okay if you guys don't let us put the driveway on there and for us to build on the 6 acres. If you guys require us to put a road on there and we split it into 2 lots, it'll be, 2 lots, but it won't be his 6 acres in the woods of his godparents. And then we'll have a neighbor and more people on there, but we didn't want to split the lot. And so it is tough knowing that there is a stranger that would be our lot neighbor that would be landlocked. But no matter what, we never wanted to put a road through it. We never wanted to split it. We never had intentions of not building on there. It's just, I was holding my husband back because I wasn't ready to move up here. And so now that our daughter's 4 and she's got to start school, my husband's like, we have to move up here. We have to build. She has to go to school up there. This is the best place to live and grow up. And so it's just hard for me to see it get split. Because then if we do have that 302nd with a road going into other developments, it's not like our little private oasis on the end of that little cul-de-sac. It's now just like any other lot in any other city. And might as well just move somewhere else. So I guess it's just hard. It's really hard for me to see this lot.
Mr. Chair, who owns the property from that cul-de-sac between those 2 lines and property?
Which? This?
Right there, yeah, who owns that?
Mr. Chair, that's public right-of-way. So that's public right-of-way, belongs to the city of Baldwin. So that's the property that the street goes, the street and the ditches, basically.
Belongs to the city of Baldwin.
So, Mr. Chair? The one alternative that we did discuss with the surveyor was basically extend the street cul-de-sac into the property so that there is the frontage. They could dedicate easement for the rest of it for future street, and then they could build on it. Because they would have the direct access, they would have the minimum frontage, and then the street connection is available.
Still making it 2 lots. There's a street cutting. You have 6 acres. Nope, you have less than 3.
Or the other alternative is if the planning commission would be agreeable to making 302nd a permanent cul-de-sac once it's here. So then you basically have, You'd have a street basically into the property, but not through it.
So the cul-de-sac would come in just into your property. So, but this is, as he stated, so it would come just into your property, so you would meet the road frontage that's required. If we made it a permanent cul-de-sac, you would basically own that, and there'd just be that little blurb of a cul-de-sac on there. That's a possible option, but as it is right now, and it's hard to say, but it's like the way it's set up, the way it's developed, and with our ordinances, we can't give you, or we wouldn't be able to give you a variance to just say, use the road as is, because it's like Mr. Lick stated, it's not a hardship, it's a choice that you want to make. So just sticking to our ordinances, it's like as you have it presented to us, that's not something that would probably be approved as a variance. So trying to work with you as options, what Mr. Lick just stated, that's a possibility. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, however, that would landlock the property behind it. If that were, when that would,
Mr. Chair?
Who there? That's my question.
or the two
I had
lots.
the same question. What are the options for the 2 lots that are behind there?
So
Are there
then-
other options?
Then there's, so as it stands now, these two are technically landlocked, and require, in order to further subdivide, and again, they're only 5 acres, so you can't necessarily get that much from them. But it would require basically this piece to develop and start a street coming from this direction. And then you'd basically end up with this piece in the middle with cul-de-sac and probably a temporary cul-de-sac here. That at some point you could split.
Mr. Chair, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots that are landlocked above and behind this piece of property, according to the map.
No, Andrew, he is 2 lots west of the one we're addressing with Juliana. He lives on that.
How does he get there?
There's that little side road right
Yeah. If you look at the west side of it, there's a little road. There's a house there. He lives there, so it's not landlocked.
Which one is we talking about? If you go 1, 2 west,
That one right there, look up where sorry. See where his arrow's at?
or is it that east? I don't know.
That one right there on the screen that's highlighted, that's where Andrew lives. So there's a house in the bottom right corner of that square. That's where Andrew lives.
How does he get to it?
There's a little side road there.
Yeah.
That's 3403.
So, Mr. Chair, those are existing parcels, so they're non-conforming with regards to the current ordinance. If someone came in to build a house on that, they would have to get a conditional use permit.
All right, so all of those just above the line there, those 3 lots up there or 4 lots up there, how do they get their access to them?
Mr. Chair, I don't know, but again, those are lots of record. They're not outlots, they're,
I don't care. I don't care
well,
about that.
Mr. Chair, it does matter because platting an
The city-
outlot is a specific action.
The city could
That makes
very
it unbuildable.
easily finish that road and give this lady what she needs with a cul-de-sac, and then as those other lots are developed, you do exactly what we did to Mr. John Dahl. You say you put a road in here to develop your lots.
And Mr. Chair, that's what I said would be an option, is that they could bring the cul-de-sac into their property. They do that at their cost. The city
then you're-
doesn't do that.
So the city owns it. We're gonna get taxes from it. We're gonna get all the building permits and all that stuff, and then we're gonna file on them to make them build that road.
Mr. Chair, that's correct. The same way Mr. John Dahl is going to build 138th Street.
Yeah, but he's got 17 houses to.
Mr. Chair, it's the same action. It's the same action. They're developing
It
property.
shouldn't be, because it's wrong.
Well, it's
that's-
considered, it's treating property owners consistently and developers.
So, back to your situation, as is, the variance would most likely be denied. But as you also heard, there is an option if you want to keep that 5.8 acres, whatever, almost 6 acres intact. There's a possible way to attack that by having that 302nd extended just into your property with the cul-de-sac. That's not something we would decide for you here. That is something you would be contacting Mr. Licht and the city engineer about coming up with a plan to see if that would work, then coming back to us with the plan, and we would look at it. So then you could possibly have 90% of that property, don't hold me to it, I'm just giving you 90% of that land, 85% land would all be yours, and there just would be a cul-de-sac, so you would meet the road requirements. So it's possible to do without having a road go through the middle. It's something you can explore, so then you would have access to it without having that road going all the way through the middle. So it's an option. But like he stated in the beginning, the way it was set up with Infinity, that's an outlot, so we have to treat that as an outlot. It's not a platted lot. So, and following our ordinances, those are the options we have right now. I mean, sorry to not be able to say that, but yeah, that's where we're at with it.
Mr. Chair, the key is that if you just extend the street to touch the property with the cul-de-sac turnaround, then the need for a variance goes away. And then it's basically the same thing as everybody extends the street a little further so that you in the future, or a future owner, would have the ability to decide to subdivide the lot and extend it. And then it would make accessible to the property to the west.
Total weird question, but, so these two homeowners, because they don't want, like the, so wouldn't it be just a possibility to just put a driveway here? What if we were to, like, let's say we purchase the middle part from these two people, and then that way our land would touch?
So, Mr. Chair, the requirement is that your lot has to have 200 feet of frontage touching a public street. The outlot that you have now only has that 66 feet width of the right-of-way, so between the black lines, basically. So if you have the cul-de-sac turnaround within your lot.
So come in and then the cul-de-sac would be here.
Yep. Then you meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
It would be small, it's not as big, like when you're doing this, it's not gonna take up half the lot where you're basically own a piece here and a piece here and it's connected by a little piece. No, it's the 200 feet he speaks of, it's the 200 feet of that diameter. So when it comes in and you have that, all you have to have is 200 feet or more. So the cul-de-sac just has to be that big. So that's, if you go out there and you walk 3/4 of a circle, 200 feet, that's all the bigger it is. That's nothing.
Would these people then be able to have like a straight, or would you keep like a little bump, straight bump?
Chair, basically the turnaround portion adjacent to their lot is cut out so that the street becomes straight in front of theirs.
So does the city then have to pay for that to get cut off, or would these two homeowners?
That would be your cost.
So we'd have to pay to get this road removed here and here, and the road extended, and then.
Correct.
Correct.
We're done.
Thank you very much, Juliana, thank you. Okay, on to the next one, C. I have a letter here from Commissioner Marshall. It's dated August 27th, please keep it down back there. August 27th, 2025, to whom it may concern, it is with considerable regret that I find it necessary to tender my resignation to the Baldwin City Planning Commission. It shall be effective no later than the conclusion of the November 25 meeting schedule, or as soon as a replacement can be found. Respectfully, R.A. Marshall. Commissioner Marshall brought this up at our special, that he is regretfully resigning. He will finish the year if necessary. We have already worked with Kayla, and we have 3 candidates. We're going to post it for 2 weeks, and if we get any additional ones. And so the next special meeting, which is the 3rd Wednesday in September, if you could plan on coming to that, we'll be discussing it, and then we can go from there. So that might be your last one, maybe another month, we'll see, but for sure November would be your last one. So, okay, thank you very much, sir, appreciate it.
Thank you. Whatever it works out to.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I skipped over second driveway. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, and then also under new business, we have second driveway, that is included in here. Permit application for a second access to a city road. I will turn this over to you, Mr. Licht.
Mr. Chair, so this is going to be brief because basically that we received the city engineer's review comments that the second driveway for this property does comply with the requirements of the right-of-way ordinance in terms of spacing to provide access, a second access to their property. So based on that recommendation, obviously, city staff recommends approval.
Okay.
Where are they proposing it? Just out of curiosity. I see the lot, but
Yeah, I don't know, actually. So, as I was reviewing this for the meeting tonight, I'm going to have a follow-up conversation with the engineer that they need to provide a little more detail to their review so that we understand what's proposed, how it complies, and a drawing showing that. So, yeah.
it does make it hard to say, yes, I agree, because I don't know where they want it.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be off of, 278 there, because that goes around the corner. I mean,
Yeah.
where are
So
they?
there is a 10-foot setback from the side lot lines.
Okay.
In the application that says it's going to 277th. How I read it, proposed access location, street name, 277th. So it's going out the back of the property.
Oh, see here.
Oh. That cuts down a lot of trees.
It could be in that lower right corner or lower left corner where there's not many trees coming out of that one building. I mean,
It's just 10 feet from.
again, a drawing would have been better, but
Right. Thank you for clarifying that.
yeah. It looks like there's something already there. Or no, that's the property next to it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this one has access to accessory. So it could be part of a request that they wanted to put an accessory building back there, but.
Okay, so that's just a discussion to show you all just new business, so it's nothing we're voting on, just letting you know that.
Mr. Chair, the planning commission is required to vote on this to make a recommendation of the city
Oh,
council.
we are, okay, I didn't know that, okay. Okay. Entertain a motion, recommend approval and forward it to the city council.
I make motion that we approve it as written.
Have a second?
I'll second.
That's
Have a
based-
second?
That's based on the engineer approving it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, okay. We'll recommend it for approval, or to forward it to the city council recommending approval, of course, with the engineer looking at it. Okay, that brings us to old business. We have nothing on the schedule for old business. City council liaison update. Mr. Swanson.
I really don't have anything from a week ago.
Okay.
We met 1 week ago. If you have any questions, let me know. I do have one interesting story that came to me this afternoon just before I came to this meeting.
Okay.
So a neighboring business saw a truck driving around in front of his place and whatever. Guy had an antenna out. And so ultimately, he turned around and asked the guy what the scoop was. It was a radio, federal guy, and he was looking for the radio disturbance that was coming from the area and pinpointed his building as where it was coming from. Not funny, whatever, that is knocking out the AT&T service, the Verizon service, and all of the 911 calls in the area. They're being dropped, these things.
Really?
Yep. And so, and it turned out, this guy's like, I didn't do anything, What happened? I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But so what he had was, he had a cell phone extender that he's had for years, right? And this cell phone extender, apparently, the transformer in it or something in it went bad. It was literally, he had it originally aimed at the tower that's on 95, a Verizon tower, on 95 east of town there, whatever. It was working fine.
Okay.
Whatever. Anyway, now then when Verizon got put on this tower, he ultimately turned it to this tower. But in somewhere, how, don't know how, don't quite understand. But when he unplugged it, the interference went away. Plugged it back in, the interference came. He said that apparently this scout, if you will, whatever, he said, I want to come in your building and see. Now, this was a guy from nowhere, whatever. Of course, he's like, well, who are you? He said, you either let me in your building or the feds are coming. You're not going to be happy with that. Right? So anyway, it ultimately found out, and it was a transformer gone bad in a cell phone extender that was actually disrupting AT&T's signal. This was huge. The quote red spot, if you will, on the map was from Princeton to Zimmerman and to the county line and just as far that way as well.
It's knocking out 911 calls as well?
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I thought that was interesting.
That is.
But,
So it's a legal device he owned, it's just a
legal device,
transformer in
everything was
it.
fine. Yep, the guy, the suggestion was go buy a new one, and it won't have this failure problem, whatever, anyway, and carry on. But poof.
Huh.
There's radio frequency hunters out there, by the way.
This SEC guy that wouldn't identify himself?
He did ultimately, yes.
Okay.
Everything was on the up and up. Anyway,
Okay.
that was interesting. Other than that, I don't have much.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, Commissioner update. Let's start with Commissioner Miller.
Next special meeting, I won't be able to make it. We're go out of town. I apologize for that.
That's okay. You've never missed anything, so the 17th of September.
Yep.
You have that, Kayla? Oh, shoot. Okay, who wants to take responsibility for spell check?
I'll
Okay.
triple read it, I promise.
Okay. Commissioner Barnes?
I don't have anything this time.
Okay. Commissioner Stoffren?
Nothing at this time.
No update.
Okay. I have three things. One, we have three candidates so far that are interested in Commissioner Marshall's position. We spoke beforehand, Kayla and I did, about extending it. And to be consistent, if it's good with everybody, we'll extend it 2 more weeks. She'll run something for 2 weeks, see if we get anybody else. Via email, she can let us know if anyone else. Otherwise, it's the 3 that you 3 have video of and the 3 of us have seen. So we can determine at that time how we want it. We'll be discussing that at our next special meeting. That might be the only thing we're discussing, but we can discuss whether we want them to come in to interview them. If it's a new person, then I believe that it would be fair to that person to have them come in here. We may still want those 3 to come in to talk to them as well, but we can decide that as a group via email. But that's kind of where we're at. So if that works for everybody, we'll run 2 more weeks, see if we get anybody else interested. And if not, we'll just go with those 3. That still works for you? You're good? Okay. Good deal. Also, just wanted to mention, since a few of you are newer, the variances. In the past, we had that where someone would come in with the variance with something that they wanted to do and it made sense. And it was like, well, that makes sense. So when we looked at variances and it came down to someone's like, well, variance has to be caused by a hardship, not a want or a need. So it's really hard sometimes when someone comes in with something because it's like, that totally makes sense or that would be nice, whatever. But when it doesn't meet the ordinances, we have to look at it as being consistent. Because as Mr. Licht said, if we do that, then all of a sudden we've opened Pandora's box and someone else comes in and then it's like, well, then we're just going to make, arbitrary, well, should we or shouldn't we? This way we stick to it. And even though it's hard to say, we're sorry, but variance won't be issued. It is very hard to have to sometimes do that, but to be consistent with everybody that comes to Baldwin or lives in Baldwin, try to remain consistent.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Could I just add to that?
Absolutely.
And if there is something that comes in that a request for variance that the planning commission feels makes sense and there should be accommodation for, that means maybe the ordinances need to be reviewed. Because the ordinances are, never set in stone. They evolve, they change over time, they're updated, revised. So if there's something that comes up that, well, the only way to do this is by variance, but the planning commission thinks it should be something that's allowed, then the direction needs to be, okay, don't apply for the variance. We'll look at, maybe we can change our ordinance to accommodate this for you and for other people under the same circumstances.
And then the last thing is, I know you had noticed that someone had their hand up during the meeting, but only in the public portion of a meeting, our public, do we call? Because in the past, we're like, well, if we open it up to people with comments or questions on something else, then we've also opened up where now all of a sudden you have a flood of people asking. And it's like, well, if it's something that's a public meeting, need to be heard. Otherwise, we just decided if we just say no, just to be consistent and easy with everybody, we just say no. So we're not being rude. It's just something we had talked about in the past.
He's done it to me before. When I've attended city council meetings, I put my hand up and he just looks away. But I understand the rules, I was just, wasn't sure where we were as a planning commission.
Okay. That's pretty much everything I had. And that brings us to I, city staff update. Mr. Licht.
We have one item for the regular meeting, would be the 26th. It's a interim use permit for a dog kennel, commercial dog kennel.
Okay.
This came about as a code enforcement item, and the property owner wasn't aware that they needed to have an interim use permit, so once they were advised, they quickly applied, so.
Okay, J, miscellaneous information and communications, notes 1 through 4 below. Kayla, thank you very much for everything you do. I want to say that before we get to the last letter, so thank you for everything you do. It's really, really appreciated, so. That brings us to K, entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned, 8:15. Thank you very